Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. Jo here of SportsGrid. Let's have Puckett with Jo. This is Puckett with Jo. Sorry, guys. We have one game today. Super excited for it to kick off. We're going to break down that game. It is between the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, the Dallas Stars entering this one as the underdog, plus 114 right now on the money line. The Edmonton Oilers at minus 137. That total sitting at 5.5 with juice to the over. The over 5.5 at minus 124 and the under at plus 102. Now, those odds are over on FanDuel. When we look at this series as a whole, the Dallas Stars leading the series right now, 2-1. I did take them in the series to win in 5 or 6 over the Edmonton Oilers. Now, what we saw in the last game was a breakdown of Stuart Skinner out there on the ice, and that's something we have to account for when we look at this matchup today. Stuart Skinner in the playoffs after that breakdown has been able to come back and record the win in the next game out. And he's played very solid. So in this one here, even though we saw such an explosive game in the last one and Dallas being able to get on the board, Edmonton being able to get a couple goals as well, I am expecting this one to stay under the total of 5.5. The under 5.5 is coming in at plus 102. You are getting that plus money. I think it's the right way to go. I'm expecting a lot out of Jake Ottinger. I'm expecting a lot out of Stuart Skinner in that bounce back situation. Now, it's going to be tight to the number. We know that. I think this is a game that could go 2-2 into overtime. The overtime bet coming in at plus 330. I also think the Dallas Stars get another win and take this back to Dallas, leading this series 3-1. Like I told you guys, I really do think this series ends in 5 or 6 with the Dallas Stars getting the win. The Dallas Stars team total sitting at 2.5. I'm going to take them straight up on the money line at plus 114, but I do like their team total over 2.5. I expect 3 goals out of the Dallas Stars and 2 goals out of the Edmonton Oilers or less. So the over 2.5 coming in at minus 138. I do expect it to be 2-2 going to OT. So make sure if you're betting their team total over 2.5, it's not a 60-minute bet. If it's a 60-minute bet, I would look to the under. But we could get the empty netter and it could finish 3-1 again. I do think we get at least 4 goals in this game. So I'm asking for a lot with at least 4 goals, with 2-2 going to overtime and getting us that overtime bet at plus 330. There's players I've got circled for their shots on goal in this one, rather than taking those anytime goal scorers. That is because I do think this is going to be an under style game. Now, when we look at players for the Dallas Stars who I do think can be able to get their shots on goal props, we got to be careful with who we actually take here. But there's a lot of players you can look at. Now, if you look at Jamie Benn for over 1.5 shots, FanDuel has him highly juiced at minus 188. I won't be hitting on that. In the last game, he only had 1 shot on goal, but in the 2 games prior, he was able to go over 1.5. He had 2 and 4. He had a goal and 4 assists versus Edmonton. So if you can get his points, Jamie Benn, I like for his points. A lot of the books in the playoffs aren't offering those points. You'd have to look at Jamie Benn for the anytime goal. And I'm not sold on those anytime goals with this being a lower scoring one. But keep in mind, Jamie Benn should be able to go over the 1.5 shots on goal. It could be a nice parlay piece for you. Wyatt Johnson, I do like over his 2.5 shots. Now, his 2.5 shots is juiced here for the Dallas Stars, but this kid has been so pivotal out there on the ice. In the last game, he had 3 shots on goal. The 2 prior, he was held under, but I expect a lot of him out here as well in this game. It's because Rupe Hintz is back in the lineup, and then they're trying to cover Rupe Hintz and leaving Wyatt Johnson open. So I do think he's a great player to look at over 2.5 shots on goal. You could combine that with Jamie Benn over his 1.5 at minus 188 and get some nice plus money with those two. Now, Rupe Hintz, his number is low at 1.5. I would look at him for the over 1.5 as well, minus 146 to the over. If you want to fire up Rupe Hintz for over 2.5, I really do think it's a nice, solid way to go. He's had 2 shots on goal in that last game. That was his first game out versus Edmonton. He did have those 2 assists. He is a playmaker. If I was going to take anyone here for the Dallas Stars to get that anytime goal, it would be him. Now, Jason Robinson, fantastic last game. He was able to record that hat trick on only 4 shots on goal. So he really came to play, able to get those high danger shots. Little concerning. The books are giving us a number 2.5 for Jason Robinson for his over at plus 122. I do think he will be able to get it. The 2 games prior, he was held to 1 shot on goal. So that's something to consider. He was able to get an assist in game 1, but the hat trick in game 3. And I love his ability to go over 2.5 at plus 114. When we look at the Edmonton Oilers for their shots on goal, way too juiced for the superstars. You look at Connor McDavid, 3.5 shots on goal. You need him to record. Now, the last game, he was able to record 6 shots on goal. He had a goal and an assist. In game 2, he was only held to 1 shot on goal. In game 1, he was able to get a goal and an assist, had 4 shots on goal. So what are we going to get out of Connor McDavid here? Are the Dallas Stars going to be able to lock him down? If I was going to look at anything for his shots on goal, I would look to the under. I would fade him here, under 3.5 at minus 156. Again, a parlay piece here. Leon Draisaitl, same thing. You're going to have to take him over 3.5 shots on goal. The under coming in at minus 178. I don't trust him to go over this. He has yet to go over this. He had 3 shots in the last game. Game 2, he had 2 shots. And in game 1, he had 3 shots and a goal. So I couldn't take it over 3.5, but the under is juice. Now, one player I would look at, there's Evan Bouchard as well. You could look at him. With the Edmonton Oilers, the superstars are going to be juice. Evan Bouchard, the offensive defenseman, over 2.5 shots on goals, minus 176. He had 2 shots in the last game, 3 shots in game 2, and 4 shots in game 1. So he's shown that he can go over this number. Again, if you want to take it to the over, I'd parlay it. But Evander Kane, I think, is someone you have to look at for the Edmonton Oilers. I do think Evander Kane, with his strong presence out there, should be able to go over his number of 2.5 shots on goal at minus 114. Now, he only had 2 shots in game 3, but we did see him in game 2 and game 1 go over the 2.5. In game 2, he had 5 shots on goal, and in game 1, he had 4 shots on goal. So I'm liking Evander Kane to be able to go over that. Those shots on goal props really are something that you can parlay and play around with a lot. But I think the main bets in this one for me is the Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers, under 5.5. We're getting plus money to the under. I'm going to take this one to go to OT at plus 330. I'm also going to take the Dallas Stars over 2.5 goals at minus 138. And I'm going to hit them on the money line. This is going to be an electric game 4 out there on the ice. I want to wish you guys always the best. Chip, I'm glad to see you here. You've been working so hard. Congratulations on doing that. And thank you, Jimmy. I love this shirt. Let's just let it ride. We're going to go with those prop bets for those shots on goal. I do think you take the players that you like and you parlay them. Larry, happy hump day. Yeah, if the Oilers win, they do score 3 goals. You're right. It's a 3-goal game for the winner. I'm thinking it is the Dallas Stars that come out on top 3-2. But if you think it's the Edmonton Oilers, I'd take their team total over as well. Now I want to look at those goalie props because they weren't out earlier. Stuart Skinner over 23.5 save shots on goal. Sign me up all day. Like I said, Stuart Skinner off a bad game has shown those bounce backs. The Dallas Stars can allow some shots to come. The Edmonton Oilers can allow some shots, even though their defense has been stepping up. I expect over that number of 23.5. When we look at Jake Ottinger, his number is 27.5. I would expect it to still go over that number. Now, there's a goalie save parlay that's really interesting on FanDuel. Stuart Skinner to record 20-plus saves and Edmonton to win. If you're liking Edmonton tonight, I think this is a really smart bet that's coming in at plus 130. We know the Dallas Stars will get enough shots on him for him to save 25-26. I would think in this one. So for that, if you like Edmonton to win, I'm not going with Edmonton to win. So let's look at what else we have. Jake Ottinger and Stuart Skinner each to record 30 save shots in 60 minutes. That's coming in at plus 1,200. My concern here would be we wouldn't have both of these goaltenders be able to hit that number. But in 60 minutes, if it went to overtime, if this was an OT as well bet, I would consider that. Stuart Skinner to record 35 plus saved in 60 minutes and Edmonton to win at plus 2,000. Again, I will stay off that. Jake Ottinger and Skinner to both record 20 plus save shots. Beautiful bet. In 60 minutes, it's beautiful. The problem with this is minus 195. Jake Ottinger to record 20 plus saves and Dallas to win. This is a phenomenal way to look at it here if you're liking Dallas. I do think Jake Ottinger goes over 20 save shots and Dallas can win this at plus 130. Him to go over 35 save shots and Dallas to win. This is really interesting. Let me just have one quick look here. I know I have it on my notes on how many save shots. Now, Jake Ottinger has a 2.09 goals against average, a save percentage of 923. He saved 28 of 31 shots on goal in the last game. Okay, so Jake Ottinger to make 35 plus save shots on goal, that would factor into Edmonton putting at least, you gotta think at least 30, 38, 36, 30. Yeah, we're really tight to that number, you guys. If I was to take anything, I love a long shot. Jake Ottinger to record 35 plus save shots on goal and Dallas to record the win. Let's just look at one more thing here. That last game, I just want to see how many shots were put on Jake Ottinger in overtime, because that really does come into factor. When we're looking at 28 of 31 in that last game, we got to see how many were done in overtime. And that's all I want to look at. And then I'm going to let you guys go. So when we look at the last one, last game did not go to OT. There's been so many games as of late, you guys. So Jake Ottinger in the last game only saved 22 shots. He only faced 22 shots on goal. And we saw Edmonton score 3. Yeah, I would stay off those. I'm always looking for some plus money, you guys. Always some way to find something, but I can't bite. I know Edmonton blew that last game, and I do think Stuart Skinner's confidence will be in a bounce back situation. So I would have faith in him coming out nice and strong in this one. I think you really do look at Stuart Skinner's save shots on goal over 23.5. I really do think the Dallas Stars put up enough on him for him to be able to go over this number, but Dallas still finding a way to win. So it's going to be a crazy game out there on the ice, you guys. Remember, in these playoff series, these games are tight to the very end. If you're liking one team over another and the other team scores quick and early, those live lines are absolute money makers right now, grabbing the team that is down straight up on the money line, because nothing is done till that buzzer goes at the end of the third period. And in the majority of these games, we're going to overtime. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Thank you so much for joining me here for Pocket with Jo. I am live on Game Time Decisions right away here in the next 20 minutes. So make sure you come over and join me there. I'll be doing a couple of segments there. The first one, talking some baseball at 6:14 Eastern. The second one, talking some hockey again. And then you can join me on In-Game Live Primetime with Scott Wetzel tonight. I'll be on for a couple hours between 8 and 10 o'clock. We'll be watching these games live and having so much fun together. So make sure you join me. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.